Hello, St. Andrew Catholic School families. Mrs. Miller here, giving the presentation that was given at Curriculum Night regarding our new Anchor behavior notes and system that we will be starting this week. If you attended Curriculum Night, this is the same presentation that I gave evening September 16th. So you are all good unless you want to hear it one more time. This is the system that we'll be using for kindergarten through 8th grade. So part of our work this summer as a staff, we always reflect on changes we can make and systems that we can implement to help our students as they continue to learn and grow here at St. Andrew Catholic School. So what you're seeing here with the help of Mrs. Michelle Sontag, a lot of work that we put in to start the year to have a more systematic approach to our behavior plans. So we, first teachers were working on this and we love acronyms. So we came up with this acronym of ANCHOR, and you'll see what each of those letters stand for in a following slide. A comprehensive behavior management system. We all like good systems because that means we can be consistent across the school. We want to promote positive student conduct in all areas. One of the areas that we were noticing that we would like to increase of communication were between our special teachers, but also at recess, at lunch. And so this system helps us do that. It's aligned with our 4 pillars that you see in our mission and vision statement. And of course, we are in a Catholic school and we teach Catholic values and virtues. So it was really important that we had a tie into our already existing virtue program, education program that we have in place. So here is the acronym, and here are the letters, words that go with the letters and what we are looking for. So we expect students to have a good attitude, means positive language and participation. Noble, we are looking for them to be kind and showing the effort that comes with that word in interacting with their teachers and their peers. Control, which really highlights self-discipline and self-control, as well as safe behavior. We're teaching them how to be safe when they're out on the playgrounds, especially our littlest students. And so that's a really big part of the control for Anchor. Humility. So a big part of, learning about making mistakes and making sure our behavior aligns with what our expectations are being able to say, I'm sorry, and saying, yes, my behavior was not meeting the expectations of our school, what my parents would like me to do. And so being humble and saying, I'm sorry, and taking that accountability is part of that modesty and integrity. Obedience, of course, following our directions and the rules we have in place, as well as completing tasks when asked to do so. Responsible, showing respect and appropriate classroom conduct is the R in Anchor. So I will take us now to our Anchor sheets. And so this is what it will look like. This is what teachers have in their classroom. And if a student is not meeting our Anchor expectations, then a teacher will fill out this sheet. Now, obviously, there is an initial warning. Okay, so an example might be if someone is poking someone else with a pencil, the teacher would say, no, that's not safe behavior. That's not how we treat our classmates. You need to stop. If that behavior persists, then that's when a teacher will pull out an Anchor behavior note. Notice that there's a spot where the teacher who is completing it fills it in, the student name and the dates. And we have various areas where the teachers can select this occurred. Then they're gonna go which behavior they believe is not being met, so which of the Anchor was not being met, and kind of give you an idea of circling which was it. So maybe in that case, it was not exhibiting self-control. Just wanted to poke my neighbor with my pencil, so I did it, right? So the teacher will put in comments to explain what happens, and this is a progressive system. I will come back to this and what this means, but the teacher will check one of these things about what we did at school as kind of this process of possibly leading to a consequence. And then the teacher gives this to the office, and we will send parents, whoever of the student receives this anchor note, get an email that says your child received an anchor note today. Please be on the lookout for it coming home this evening in their backpack. For grades K through 2, this will be in their yellow folder. In the upper grades, it might be in a folder or their planner, depending on their system of getting home first to you. You sign it and then you give it back to your student and they bring it back the next day to their classroom teacher or to the office. We hope that this really sparks conversation in your family. Talk a little bit more about the partnership between home and school and why this is helping us, helping you be a part of that process. So this is the progressive response system. So the first time it might be a sheet home and we're hoping with a talk, mom and dad, that there's change in behavior and we don't see that behavior again. If we are seeing consistent patterns, Miller loves data. So we're going to be collecting data to see location, was the behavior, a specific time of day where we're seeing this behavior. And if we continue to see the same things happening or a consistent behavior pattern, that is when we're going to kind of progress up this. So it might be that initial warning, but then a meeting with the teacher and student, talking through the behaviors and the choices that they're making. There might be a telephone call to the parent from the teacher or myself. And then next is that meeting with me, again, kind of talking through kind of role playing possibly how they react the next time that happens or they're in that situation. Then following, get to that point where we're really seeing it, there will be specific aligned consequences with what the behavior is. If it is wasting school time, learning time, then they might be doing some of that work during playtime. If it is, misbehaving in the lunchroom, then it might be eating lunch in the office where they aren't tempted to those mistakes. And there'll be a time for that consequence. It might be a week or a couple days, depending on what it is. Essentially, if it is a student who is consistently receiving anchor behavior notes across the board, that's when we move to an individual behavior plan. We do have students on these currently, and if your child is on an individual behavior plan, you probably won't be receiving the anchor behavior sheets because you're already getting intensive information from us each day, each class. So there's separate things. We're trying to avoid getting to that individual behavior plan if possible, but that does happen in some cases. You are a part of this as a parent, so we felt strongly that it needs to be a same day kind of notification to you. We want you to know about it and talk with your child, so that is the parent signature requirement. And we do want it back the next day so we know that it was discussed at home. As I mentioned previously, this is opening lines of communication, and we really want this to be a collaborative problem-solving approach. That's how we approach everything here, as you are a part of the process as a parent. If your child is old enough, we will also invite them to be a part of the process. So they can talk through that and help us come up with ways to help them make the right choices. As mentioning, this is for data tracking purposes. So we are working with something called MTSS, which is Multi-Tiered Systems of Support, fancy words, but it's basically how do we track this data and be more proactive to give students the support they need to be successful. And that might mean we have a positive reward system, we have a movement of seat, we have a break into the child's day. So this information would help us then to either have a 504 plan or a non-public service plan, and that's at the bottom. Is a lot of supports they need. We would move into discussing with that parent those options. We also see this as a valuable way for teachers to share information from year to year, not as like, ooh, look, watch out for this kid. He had a ton of your plant anchor sheets last year. Watch out. It's more of what worked last year. What was the progress that was made? How can we communicate that better among staff? So that is our new behavior notes. That has started. We as a staff have been talking about it, and we're going to continue to talk about it. This is a learning process on our end too, so we thank you for your patience. We kind of figure out how the logistics of this will work. But again, in closing, you are partners in this process. If you have questions or you're curious about things, please don't hesitate to reach out to your classroom teachers or myself. Really, we're just taking that proactive response to making sure students are well behaved and working towards their own individual goals. Thank you so much, and we're excited to get this started at